Today's guest is one of the fittest human beings on the planet and owner of one of my favorite places, CrossFit Petoskey. So welcome, Kenny Provost, to the
thanks
Know My Truth podcast. So I'm glad you took the time out of your busy day to sit with us.
Yeah.
I haven't really told this story before, but the way I was introduced to CrossFit was I was going through sort of a hard time. I was in the middle of a divorce and just wasn't really super happy with where I was in life. And my business coach at the time, Kate Simon, who's still a really good friend of mine and who has competed in like bodybuilding competitions, said the first thing you need to do to stay on track is get in the gym, take care of yourself from a physical and mental health standpoint. And at the time, the only people I knew at the gym were Bill and Elisa, who are, two other great real estate agents, good friends of both of ours. Mm-hmm. And they sort of took me under their wing and I started going to CrossFit. And I want to say changed my life outside of, I feel like that's overstated, but it truly did. And I think I owe a lot to you, and a lot of people do, because you are literally helping people live, much healthier than they would otherwise. And I love the community you've created. So first of all, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to get a little bit into your story. So give us just a little bit of your background, your life story.
Well, first off, the bodybuilder, health coach. Mm-hmm. She said that you could do CrossFit.
No, she was no. It's funny. That's actually funny you bring that up. That's my business coach, but she had.
She was a bodybuilder. Okay.
She competed in like whatever the bodybuilding. I'll show you pictures.
Yeah.
She actually was surprised when I told her CrossFit was what I chose. She said, "Why did you pick the hardest thing where you every day you're running through walls?" And I didn't know any better at the time. I didn't know that CrossFit was as intense as it is. I thought it was just. And I have coaches in a lot of areas of my life. And one thing that I really enjoy about CrossFit is I know it every day at noon, I'm going to show up and you're going to tell me what to do and scale it accordingly. And I'm going to leave there an hour later having a good workout and go back to work.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, when people talk about, or when I even think about what the catch for CrossFit is and why people want to do CrossFit, I would say number one's the social aspect. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, it is truly community fitness, without a doubt. But really the number one selling point is somebody wants to be told what to do. They're they don't want to think about it beforehand. They don't want to think about it afterhand. They want to show up for an hour and just be told exactly what to do. So background though, I guess I'll go my background, which is very similar to yours actually. In ways, there's definitely parallels. I was a power lifter for much of my youth, really. I mean, nothing serious. But I enjoyed that style of working out. I also played football. I was a bigger guy. I was, and that's really what, why I fell in love with CrossFit, is I was 300 plus pounds, playing football and always worked out. I ever since high school, I'm truly every day I would be upset if I didn't work out. But it clearly had no impact on my health in a positive way, other than being strong, and that was cool. And I liked being strong, and I liked beer. That's for sure. That helped being big. But nothing, changed with my weight. And when I was done playing football, I remember actually going to the doctor for an unrelated issue. I think I had to get stitches or something like that. And of course, they run you through, step on the scale, see how tall you are, give you your blood pressure. And when he got back with my blood pressure, I couldn't tell you the numbers now. He was like, dude, this is not good. Yeah. I'm probably 22.
Wow.
And I mean, that bad, where he's like, you need to make a serious change. And I don't even think I made the serious change after that. I think I just kept kind of tooting along. At the time, I was actually teaching in Detroit. So I guess that's a big part of my background too. I went to college, played football. I wanted to teach. I did a thing called Teach for America. You ever heard Teach for America?
What is Teach?
You go into impoverished areas and you don't even have a teaching degree.
Really?
You go to school while you are teaching. And that's the shtick. They're like, hey, we can get these good college kids. They had good grades and they did the right stuff. We can throw them in because they want to do it for the right reason.
Right.
In places where they have a tough time hiring.
Sure.
And we'll send you to school at the same time. And you can work on your teaching degree while you're teaching and making a full salary. So I was in, so that's, part of, this transition of I like teaching and, going towards the CrossFit realm. The problem with Teach for America, I wanted to teach secondary English. I went to school for English. I was a writer.
I didn't know that.
In Teach for America, you have to take the job that you are offered. Like, you can't say no. As soon as you are offered a job, you have to say yes. You can't deny any job unless you're offered multiple at the same time, which is very rare.
Then you get to pick.
And then you get to pick. I got kindergarten. That was my first gig.
Really?
So I'm sitting there in Burns Elementary School, which is like 6 miles out of Detroit, off of Grand River. And I have 30 kindergartners, and I have no idea like what I'm doing. So I stuck with it, and I think that probably elevated my stress level. Got my blood pressure going even worse. And I was still working out during those times. And about a year, I did a year and a half. I did a summer school, and then I went through a whole season. And then I'm like, you know what? I got to change this up because I can't keep paying for school to do kindergarten, in elementary ed. Moved back up here to home because Petoskey's home and always has been home. And I actually picked up a teaching assistant job in special ed at the high school. And then I was able to, still do some of the things that I love.
Sure.
I was able to coach football, and so I coached high school football. And then, simultaneously, I'm starting to get into this CrossFit thing.
Sure.
And I'm seeing, and that's a whole different story on its own, but I'm seeing huge benefits. I'm starting to finally lose weight as soon as I get home. And thankfully, my dad, who owns a construction company here, said, you know what, we should open a gym together. It's something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was so into working out. So we opened one in Charlevoix. And then, we can keep going into the background a little bit more, but that's kind of how this all led. I opened up a gym, then I stopped teaching. Then I started running the gym just solely as my job. And it was a small, teeny thing. That was in 2014. Yeah, fall of 2014.
10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years ago. Then Petoskey had an opening, so I was running 2 gyms at the same time. And now I'm full in on Petoskey, and this is it. This is where I'm at.
How much more popular is CrossFit now than it was? So I've only been in the CrossFit world the last 3 or 4 years. So
yes.
I know, before I had heard of it, but it seems like it's more popular now than it used to be. Would you agree with that? Or more mainstream, I should say.
2010 was the big boom for CrossFit.
What caused that?
I couldn't tell you. That was when affiliates just blew up.
Okay.
I don't know if they made kind of the introductory into opening your own gym just a little bit more friendly, which it is. It's a fantastic system if you believe in little regulation.
Small government.
And you believe in the idea of competition.
Right.
Then CrossFit is a great business model. There is very little to getting one started other than obviously there's a lot to purchase. There's definitely an investment in the gym itself. But even if you're talking gyms, you're talking barbells, a rig. We're not talking fancy machines and stuff that would put you under. This is not huge stuff to buy.
Right.
And if you're starting with a small community, then it's even less. You kind of just make your way as you go, which is exactly what we did in 2014. We were in an old Napa. It had literally ceiling heaters, no insulation. It was literally the coldest building I've ever been in. I remember I have pictures of people warming up doing wall balls in their winter coats.
Oh my gosh.
It was that kind of place. But that in itself just shows you this is awesome. Yeah. People would do that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They trust the coach and the process and the system and just CrossFit as a whole. But 2010 was the big boom. I would say that it's gone through its dips and dives for sure, and then its peaks. And I do think there's a challenge in the way that they present the product. Most of what people see are elite athletes on social media. Right. And that is such a small percentage of what actually CrossFit is, that it is a interesting marketing choice by CrossFit overall, which we don't buy into as a personal gym too much.
Obviously, yeah. Do you think that hurts CrossFit that they sort of just publicize, everybody wants to see the ripped guys and the ripped girls, but I think also the people that can really benefit from CrossFit might be a little bit intimidated because that's not what I look like. And I probably never will from CrossFit. Yes.
I always give the benefit of the doubt, that they're way smarter than me when they're marketing. So they've figured something out.
Right.
If you look on social media, there are two different CrossFits. There is CrossFit Games
Right.
account. And of course, they are just showing the best of the best,
right.
the most fit, the crazy creatures, you know?
Right.
And then there's CrossFit HQ headquarters, and they have their own social media. And then they sprinkle in some of that stuff, but the majority of their stuff you'll see like older athletes
Right.
or people with any sort of disadvantage or whatever, special needs, or you know,
Right.
they'll show a lot of that stuff, or just regular Joes. For some reason, I feel like I see more of the other stuff, and I don't know if that's my algorithm. I'm not
Probably
really sure.
because you're one of them.
Yeah, well, I don't know what that. Yeah, no, not quite one of them. But yeah, so they do have some challenges there. But again, going back to regulation and what they allow the individual affiliate to do, it has almost little to no bearing on us, and the way that we can promote us can be entirely different
Right.
than the way that they promote them. They don't have rules for this sort of thing.
Right.
So that's pretty unique and cool.
So you think about opening a CrossFit gym, and it's not like opening another business where you're just trying to get customers. You actually had to build a community from scratch.
Sure.
How would you say you did that?
Well, I had to build this community from scratch in Charlevoix. I do think I just fell into Petoskey.
Okay.
That had a pretty good thing going. And it might have been on a downtrend in some ways, but there was definitely a core
Right.
that I'm very like. I don't know if I could put a finger on
Right.
exactly how or what we did, but that core has grown
Sure.
since I've been there, and the membership is as high as I have ever experienced. In the boom of time, 2014, I'm sorry, speaking of the boom of 2010 of affiliates, that's when CrossFit Petoskey actually started,
Okay.
was 2010. So it was one of those hundreds of affiliates that opened that
At the
year.
same time.
Yep. And that was the highest level of membership I think CrossFit Petoskey has ever seen.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I want to say 200 plus people visited CrossFit Petoskey. I don't think CrossFit Petoskey was set up for that kind of growth to happen so quickly. I think people were like, wow, this is really neat and cool. I've never seen anything like this before. And people were just showing up. And that sort of rapid growth is not super authentic. You can't keep in line with everybody that's new and new faces and getting to know them. And that is the model, just getting to know the people that go through the door. That's it.
And I think, something, if you're not familiar with CrossFit, that you might not know this or you don't know this, that, before every workout, you have 10, 15, 20 people. And sometimes, and I see it, you're telling every single one of them almost a different workout. You're doing, every person's maybe doing a little bit different of a weight or a little bit different scale. So it is really, I don't want to say it's one-on-one coaching, but it's not, not only do you get to be told what to do and rely on the expert coaches, but I'm probably a little bit more on the annoying spectrum, but before every workout, I'm asking you what to do. So you're getting a workout that I would say is tailored directly to your needs.
Yep. That's the model we're trying and always learning on how to do better. But the only way that you can get such a diverse group of people in the same hour is we have a blueprint of a workout. And simply, you could write that workout 5 different times. Sure. That doesn't even really matter.
Right.
What actually matters is you know the person and you've seen them move and you know their goals, which is super important because it's so, the biggest thing is seeing their scope. Right. You got to adjust your scope of like, what are they trying to get out of this?
Right.
And it takes reps. I mean, you can't do that the first 2 or 3 times you see somebody, but after a month, kind of where they're at and sooner than that. Where they're at, and you take that workout and you can just, it's pretty quick now, 10 years in, I've got a lot of reps, where you can just be like, hey, you Janie, this is what you're doing today, man. This is the weight on the bar. Actually, we're not even gonna use a bar, or
PVC pipe. Yeah,
we're gonna do this or use dumbbells or, manipulate this to suit you. So the business model truly has just become get to know who's in the door and not even in the gym. If you want to know that scope and actually dial in a workout, it's asking about their kids.
Right.
It's like, well, how's work going?
Right.
And knowing what they do for work,
Right. Right.
I love asking Audie, Andy, how the business is going,
That's funny.
like stuff like that. And that plays probably a huge part into Petoskey, just being the smaller town that it is. It's hard to say it's small anymore. It
really is. It feels big.
It feels big, bigger than it did not that long ago. But it still has that feeling that most people.
Right.
And I know that if I need tile work done, I can call up Bob.
Right.
Or I see him at the gym, which actually happened the other week. Legends class, Bob Costello. I think he's getting interviewed, by the way, by the news.
Is that right?
For our cancer group, because he started with
okay.
The cancer group, and now he's just like, CrossFit's what I do.
Yeah.
So he goes to our Legends group now, which is a 55 plus class. And I'm doing some remodeling in my house, and I was like, I know that Bob's a tile guy. And I'm like, hey, Bob, what should I do with this? And he's like, I'll be over Saturday. And he's like, you'll have to do it with me, though. And so he put me to work, and we did some tile work. But that's like everybody, you know?
There's every profession is covered.
Every profession's there. It's crazy. Electrician, plumber, right away. HVAC, got it. Real estate.
That's right. Plenty of us.
I mean, it's that's the coolest part. Most rewarding part, I think, of what I do.
So we've talked about a lot of positives. What are some of your struggles, or what are some of the negatives of owning it? Because I own a business in Northern Michigan, I can talk about it. What are some of the struggles of owning a very niche business in a very small area? I don't want to, CrossFit is not the cheapest place to work out.
No.
It's just not.
No.
So those are three sort of challenges that you have to face every day. How do you navigate that? And what do you find is the hardest part of, those issues?
I think it was more of a growing pain than a negative.
Okay.
The demographic of Northern Michigan is older.
Right.
And that's not a negative.
It's the truth.
That's just what it is.
Right.
And CrossFit definitely appeals to this kind of more hardcore type situation. And you're trying to sell something that's kind of hardcore to 60 plus.
It's hard.
And I think I was kind of beating my drum for a while on like, how do I get, the graduating high schooler in here? Or how do I get the graduating college student in here, the mid 20s? And quite frankly, if that were me, I wouldn't be able to afford it.
I wouldn't have either when I was mid 20s.
I wouldn't have been able to afford it. And in the same breath, that is its value. We sell it as close as you can get to personal training without paying the personal.
It's pretty close
without paying the personal training fee. I mean, that's tenfold what we charge.
And I would argue it's almost better because you get sort of the personalized-ish coaching with the community and the accountability.
Yeah, things that personal training is not going to get you.
Because I'll be honest, there have been times in my life when I'm very busy and I've thought, I should just hire a personal trainer and just look exactly how I want to look and work on the things I want to work on. Mm-hmm. But I would miss the community. I would miss seeing the guys at noon or the guys at 5 or the classes I come to.
Yep. So that part is a challenge, but we've had to just adapt.
Right.
Now we have, starting in June, 2 times a day on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays going to appeal to 50 plus athletes,
incredible.
And people that are just would have normally been scared, not of the program. They're not scared of the movement.
Right.
I think that's what people think, is that people are scared of deadlifts,
right,
and they're scared of pull-ups. They're not. I think that part has been communicated really well.
Right.
That like adaptation is part of the game. So I do think that's been communicated. I don't want to work out next to 20-year-old crazy dude with his shirt off, Which
40-year-old crazy.
And some people do, and actually the majority don't care. The majority do not care. But if you want to kind of get them in the door initially, having those specialty classes, actually in our 55 plus class, now that they've just got their foot in the door, they would go to any class. They don't care.
That's cool.
It's just that initial, like, how am I going to fit in here deal. So that was an adjustment. And that's a difficulty of being where we are, where most gyms are in Grand Rapids. And most gyms are in Muskegon, in places where there's just a younger base,
One thing I should mention that I like about CrossFit is if you're traveling, you can pop into any CrossFit gym and know what's going on. I mean, there might be something, they might do things a little bit differently, but I've been to, my short CrossFit career, I've been to a number of gyms and just plugged in and you know what to do. And the coaching isn't as good because they don't know you, but I think it's a cool, not only is it a cool sub community, but on a bigger scale, You know, if I went to, California to a CrossFit gym, I know it's going to be 80%, 90% the same of what I'm used to every single day.
Yeah. I've known people that have gone to CrossFits in Canada where it's all French.
Where did Darren just go? Was that CrossFit?
No, he went to Iceland.
Okay, that was.
He went to Iceland, and it was Thor Bjornsson's gym.
Okay,
who's the mountain?
Yeah, that's right.
The mountain of the Game of Thrones. But yeah, no, that's not a CrossFit gym. But I have known. I just was. There's a girl, Jamie, who just moved to Canada. But when she was visiting, she dropped in at like a full-on French gym. But it was such a fluent and language of what CrossFit is,
right? The language
that
of
it was
CrossFit.
No big deal. Like thrustero.
That's funny. You should do a book called The Language of CrossFit. I read a lot of that.
Yeah.
What would you describe is the vibe of living in Northern Michigan? If somebody's considering moving here, they don't really know the area. What would you consider the vibe as somebody that's been here for a long time?
Man, it's been a while since I wasn't here.
Right.
So that's the hardest part. Man, the vibe's friendly. I guess that's the best word I could put it to.
Yeah.
I'm never worried. I'm never stressed out about people around me.
Right.
The feeling of some elbow room is always nice. At the same time, you have that small town with the convenience of things that bigger towns have.
Right. It's getting better.
Yeah, it is. It's getting a lot better. And I never wish I had something that we don't have.
Right.
So that pretty chill, friendly atmosphere is such a plus. There's not so much hurry.
Right.
That's a really big part of it. And yeah, people just don't really seem so uptight. It's just a nice, I would almost say it's got like a Southern, like in that sort of like relaxing type. If you've been somewhere else and something to compare it to, yeah.
What's one thing you hate about living in Northern Michigan?
As I'm getting older, winter is getting tougher.
Harder.
It's getting harder, man. I'm sick of scraping ice off of my car and shoveling and plowing. And we've actually had some mild winters. And in the past, I would have been like, I want all the winter, man. Bring on all the snow. Now I'm starting to be like, I kind of like this, where it's a little bit more of a mild winter. I'm also not into winter sports that much. So that's probably a big part of that.
Yeah, that's one of the things we tell everybody is if you're going to be here, anybody relocating here, we say if you're going to be in Northern Michigan in the winter, you've got to find something.
Find something,
Why don't you? You don't snowmobile, you don't ski, you don't.
Man, I used to do those things. Kids maybe.
Yeah.
Which they're young, so maybe we'll get.
They will pull you into their winter activities.
They'll pull me back into it.
There you
go. If there was a negative side to being a CrossFit coach, not a CrossFit participant,
right?
I am always like my whole life revolves around movement,
right,
and activity. Mm-hmm. So because I'm just so into that, when I'm out of the gym, like I can be pretty bad with like hobbies.
Right.
I'm like, I just want to chill out.
Right.
If it's a hobby, I'm fishing. I'm sitting. I'm just like hanging out.
What's a rest day look like for you? That's a question people always ask.
Is it?
Fit people.
I rest. I truly rest. I don't do anything. Sundays especially, don't do anything. Thursdays. So Thursday and Sunday are my rest days.
Okay.
Those are and I think that's a pretty common split.
Sure.
You got the 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off, and you just keep on revolving on that. If I feel like I have a lot in the tank, like I just feel energetic or whatever on a Thursday,
sure,
I'll hop on the bike a little bit, or just truly just chasing my kids around.
Yeah, that's enough, of course,
because they're just active kids that like to climb on things and move around, or make me work them out. So that's an active rest day. But for the most part, man, I don't even like the word active rest day. I just like to actually rest.
What would you say are some common misconceptions people have about living in Northern Michigan? I mean, I get this myself. People think you mentioned it, where it's a little slower up here. They think that people are slow. It's a little bit lazy. What would you say? What are your what do you think are the misconceptions of living in Northern Michigan?
Going back to a positive of Northern Michigan and what I said about convenience of things, I would think if I didn't live here and I didn't know, people would be like, well, I'll miss that store.
Right.
I'll miss that, mall strip or something.
Right.
No, I truly think that you get everything you need, and then some because of the downtown.
Right.
Where there's things that other places don't have.
Right.
And unique things. So I think that would be a big misconception. That's like small town. I'm missing out on some of the bigger things. Yeah, sure. You're not going to a football game. Like, you're missing out on professional sports. I don't know. But yeah, I think the misconception actually just changes to a positive. I mean, just everyththing actually, especially where I live now, which is Bayshore area. Yep. You're literally 20 minutes from everything you want. I mean, it's like, you go Boyne City, you go to Charlevoix, you go to Petoskey, and you are right there.
And I should mention this, Bayshore is an area that it's not Petoskey or Charlevoix. People don't actually know what Bayshore is.
Right, sure.
So how would you describe where Bayshore is? If somebody's
I would
loosely
call
familiar,
it Petoskey probably.
Right, it's this side. It's it's just outside of Bay Harbor.
Yeah, it's just south of Bay Harbor.
Yeah.
Maybe just a few miles. So I would call it Petoskey, and you are 10 miles at most outside of the city.
Yeah, just tell people it's the ungated portion of Bay Harbor.
Exactly.
Bay Harbor adjacent.
Yes, Bay Harbor adjacent. Other side of the highway.
That's right. The sunny side. What are some hidden gems about living in Northern Michigan? If you're coming here, other than Frisky Farms, who your wife's family owns, what are some things you have to see in Northern Michigan?
Dude, the best part of, and actually moving away, there's freaking water everywhere.
Yeah. We take that for granted. We
it is unbelievable. It's honestly a navigational thing.
Right.
I went to college in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I don't think I ever saw a lake there. I don't know if I ever saw a pond. I'm not even really sure.
Incredible.
Which I didn't, skirt out too far. But the water is literally my north compass here.
Right.
You know exactly where you are based on just like, I see the water over there. So any body of water is just like the best gem in the world. I mean, from the small Susan Lake Pond, to Lake Michigan. I mean, they're all just unbelievable. I love the waterfront down here. I think that's an absolute gem that honestly doesn't get used that much, in my opinion.
It doesn't. But you're trying to fix that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. With the Northern Michigan Fitness Festival.
So that's something I want to talk about a little bit, because I think I'm a huge fan from a business standpoint. When I think so many people have these big ideas, like I'm going to do this one day, and they never do it.
Yeah.
And I think it is so cool when somebody puts their money, their effort, their blood, sweat, and tears where their mouth is, and they actually do what they want to do. So I think those festivals, I've been fortunate enough, or not, whichever way you want to look at it, to MC the last two, and just being there and seeing how much goes into that, and the workouts and the setup and the volunteers. I mean, those are the output that it takes to put one of those on is incredible. So I give you a ton of credit for seeing that to fruition. One of my favorite books is by Peter Thiel. It's called 0 to 1, meaning one of the hardest things in the world to do is go from something not existing to existing. And that's why earlier I asked you about starting the community in Charlevoix, going from 0 to 1, because it's easy to, like you mentioned, at Petoskey, just sort of, pick up something that already has momentum. But to go from nothing to, if you go from just outside the window, the waterfront park, if you look at it right now, is a lawn. Yeah. You come in, you've got a fitness festival almost overnight. So give us a little bit, how did that come about? How long did you want to do it?
Yeah. And speaking of 0 to 1, I mean, I don't give myself as much credit as that, because there are these things that existed, starting a community in Charlevoix, CrossFit was a thing. Right. So, people are drawn to something that already was there. I mean, sure, you're starting a community from scratch, but, it all revolves around a likeness of sorts.
A common thread.
Yep. And I would say the same thing about the fitness festival, because there are other ones. Sure. Are there any close to here? Not really.
On the water? Not really.
Yeah, there's like one other one I can think of that's on the water.
But that's a much bigger, if this is the one I think you're thinking of. I mean, it's a much longer run.
Yep, they've had a long run at it, and they're doing amazing. It's really great. Actually, they now come to ours. The people incredible. That run that one come to ours, and had nothing but positive things to say. And theirs is incredible. I mean, truly incredible. But speaking to the CrossFit community, I couldn't do it without knowing people that literally just go to our gym and that have their own businesses and wanted to help sponsor the events like Gino D'Angelo Group and, all the way to the paint store and, people that helped me do it. It's truly a dream. I mean, it's a dream. Starting a CrossFit gym I wanted to have a gym when I was in high school. I was like, I want to open a gym. I thought it would be a bodybuilding gym, but I have a gym. And then now into CrossFit, I'm like, I want to throw an event. Yeah. And luckily CrossFit has provided enough where I could invest in the equipment necessary, which is, this big rig that's, this huge apparatus, that I'm super proud of. which I get to whip out here soon, which will be cool. Yeah, starting that location was a dream come true.
Absolutely.
I have never had something where I envisioned it in my mind, a year or two in advance, and I'm like, that's exactly how I want it to look, and it worked. Which again goes back to just small town, to be able to just go to the Parks and Rec director and be like, hey, I got this idea. And he's like, show me what you want to do and just let me do whatever I wanted to do. And
they sort of left you alone, from my understanding.
They totally did.
Yeah.
They totally left me alone and gave me a couple rules, and that was about it. That was about it. And right on that green, right in front of the break wall, it was a beautiful day. We couldn't ask for anything better there. Tons of volunteers from our community. I would say a team of about 50 people helping me
gave
set
up a Saturday.
Gave up a whole Saturday, Friday, Saturday, even Sunday. Basically a 3-day endeavor. And I think everybody we just communicated enough. I think that was probably the biggest piece of just being able to pull it off, is meetings well in advance. Right. Of like, hey, this is what I want it to look like. Here's kind of the idea. And everybody just, taking a job and like, I get it. Having people see your vision was the biggest part. We couldn't have shown up and then me try to explain this vision. So you have to like continue to like, this is the way we want it to look, know, and everybody answered it, man. It was so good.
And I'm a huge fan. And one of the reasons I think so highly of you is I like people who are the best of the best in what they do. And I think the reason you're able to get, and CrossFit, not to toot our horns or brag about us, CrossFit athletes, the people that go to CrossFit, and I think this is one of the things I noticed early on is, you'd be dying after a workout and there's a dentist over there. There's a guy that owns a paint shop over there. These are people that have careers that have, and for them to give up a Saturday, I would say is a testament to, almost their way to pay you back for all that you give us. Yeah. Because if you were a jerk and ran a crappy gym, they're not showing up on a Saturday. Sure. I mean, I'm not emceeing for somebody that I don't really like that much. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And, and a big part of that too is I don't even coach as many classes.
You are falling off. It's a little more rare.
I know. A little more rare. Off. And I think maybe that's as a new-ish business owner. Maybe that's one of the signs of that things are growing. You see it all the time. I just saw the electrician who doesn't put on a tool pouch anymore, but that's how he had to start, because there's always these things that you have to do outside of the job, to get people in the door, whatever. So I do a lot more of that. So it's really more of a testament to the staff that we have now, which we talk. I mean, we're just friends. Yeah. We don't have to have structured meetings about how to do things. We're just around each other. Right. And so we have these conversations on a daily basis. And so that is a huge testament to people wanting to be a part of something bigger. Yeah, absolutely. It's really the staff that we have there that made that happen, which is neat. I actually felt bad putting the Know Me Fitness Festival on. One of my original goals was to highlight our community, like allow them to actually do these things. Right. To do a competitive CrossFit event, because they're not going to go down to Detroit and do one. Right. They're not that serious about it, which is great because it's supposed to be fun. Of course. And maybe it's not fun to drive downstate just to participate. It's a hassle. It's a pretty big endeavor. So I'm like, if we brought one here, then Melissa can participate. Right. And you can have this person participate. But they all ended up just judging and helping me set up. So I was looking through the list of people that participated last year, and I was like, well, only like 10 people from our gym actually competed. Right. And there were 120 people that competed. It's a small percentage. They all wanted, which is good and bad. Yeah, it means you can draw a crowd that's just not your friends, right? Exactly. Yeah. And but they actually had more fun being on the back end of it than they were being on 100%. The floor. Yeah, it's less stressful. Yeah, right. And they love judging. They wanted to know the workouts. They wanted to know rep people, and they wanted their judge's shirt, and they want to do it again. So we're going to do it again. If somebody wants to learn more about the Know Me, Know My, how do you prefer to say it? Know Me? I say Know Me. My wife says Know My. Okay, Know Me, Know My. If you want to learn more about the fitness festival, you have 2 every year. One in the fall. Yep, one in the fall. Summer, fall. Yep, and we're still up on if we're going to do the winter one. Okay. If that's going to continue to happen, which it was awesome. I did have a great experience.
Except for you almost broke the casino.
Almost broke the casino.
You want to tell that story a little bit?
Yeah, we did so we have 2 competitions a year we're trying to. One in late summer, I would call it, which is, early September. And that's the reason it's a kind of a quick turnaround. We want to do one in the winter. So we did one at the end of January, I think it was. So you only have a few months to kind of prepare for that one. But we did it at Odawa Casino, which was awesome also.
Absolutely.
They were extremely inviting.
They did a good job.
They did just such a great job, and they loved that we were there. But we were dropping some serious heavy weights. Some of these dudes are...
It's like an earthquake.
Yeah, some of these girls, some of these dudes, they are legit strong.
Yeah.
So we're dropping serious weights out there. And something in the basement of Odawa Casino fell through the ceiling tiles. It turned out to be just loose scrap metal that someone left when building the place, but it fell through in someone's office. And
we did them a favor.
They almost called our competition out. The security guards were coming that we were, not to drop weights anymore, but it was the last heat, man. I'm like,
you had to do it.
One more. And they let us roll, and actually they want us to come back again. They thought it was pretty sweet.
Are you going to announce today that you're coming back in the winter at the casino, or undecided still?
Yeah, we'll come back.
Okay.
I mean, I
you heard
can't
it here
help
first.
We do have this big rig I invested in, and if I just have it sit in a trailer all the time,
you're not making any money from
it. It seems so lame. So
this actually ended up just being a coincidence that you're here during Hero Week.
Yeah.
Can you tell the audience, Hero Week, I think, is one of the cool... I think CrossFit does a really good job with the military and people who have died protecting the country. So just give us a little insight. Hero Week started yesterday. It goes until Saturday, which ends in Murph. So a lot of people aren't familiar with what Murph is. Just tell the audience a little bit about Hero Week, Murph, what they should know, and how CrossFit sort of works with the fallen soldiers.
Yep. Hero Week. So CrossFit has a close affiliation with first responders, the military. More so naturally just as a way of training, because it's a functional fitness and it's intense. And if you're someone saving someone's life, that's a great way to work out. It's you're very capable. So they have this affiliation with the military. And unfortunately, so there's quite a few hero workouts, which are workouts that are written for someone who fell in active duty. And that list, unfortunately, continues to grow.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So Memorial Day Murph. So Michael Murphy, if you've ever seen the movie Lone Survivor, that'll tell you the story of Michael Murphy. That workout is performed on Memorial Day traditionally across every single CrossFit gym that you can find. For some reason, we do ours on Saturday leading up to Memorial Day, and that's just the way we've always done it. But the last 10 years, we've done a hero week. So we do a hero workout every day leading up into Murph, so commemorating someone that has fallen. And we change the workouts out every single year, and we always honor whoever it is representing before the workout, and adds just a level. I don't want to use the word intensity, but it adds like a level of an importance to the workout. There's definitely a heightened atmosphere about it. Sometimes actually like you yesterday, you were in there doing a hero workout.
Yep.
There was a lapse in music, which happens, the song changes. So there's like 20 seconds where there's just no noise. And you can just feel that there's just a different vibe. Everybody's just gritting it out. There's like no talk, there's not a talk.
It's a different mindset.
And that's what they're about, So it's also a reminder that CrossFit's hard. Like it's hard.
Yes,
and it is it's the hardest workout program you can find.
Sure.
Like without a doubt.
It's the sport of fitness.
Yes, it is. It's the sport of fitness. And just the stuff, not only like sweating, breathing hard, which is obviously that, skill wise and learning, like that is what it's so hard.
Right.
And the Hero Week is, kind of a reminder, like, we're kicking butt every now and then, we still have it. We still have it a little bit. But yeah, Memorial Day Murph, which we do on Saturday, that's coming up. We usually get 50 to 60 people that show up just to do the workout. So we're going to do it at CrossFit Petoskey. We set up 2 rigs for it, which is pretty neat. So lots of people doing pull-ups. If you've never heard the workout before.
Yeah. What is the workout?
It sounds just atrocious.
Because it is.
It is. It's extremely long. It's a very tough workout. It is a 1 mile run followed by 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 air squats. Then you do another mile run
to finish it out.
Of course, there are all sorts of variations of
You
doing
break up
that.
the middle part.
Yep, most people break up the middle part. The true Murph is supposedly unbroken.
With a weight vest. You forgot that.
Yes, you also wear a 20-pound weight vest if you're a male and a 14-pound weight vest if you're a female. And you perform that whole workout like that. So usually, I mean, we do have some fit people that will get that workout done around 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then usually the block of time's up to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Is what we put out for it. But everybody shows up. We do the Star Spangled Banner beforehand. Shannon Sabo.
Sings the national anthem.
Dewan, he's up there with his
recording.
with his, what do you call that? A drone.
Drone. Yeah.
Gino's giving thumbs up to the drone.
Trying to hit it.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it's a really, really cool. I think it's the best week of the year at CrossFit.
It is.
We also do a donation.
Right.
And we change out our donation and we just leave a donation jar every year. And it's sometimes unrelated to the military part of it, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's part of it. This year we're doing a donation towards Challenge Mountain,
Okay.
which is a nonprofit, which I would call Boyne.
Sure.
Probably Boyne Falls is probably Boyne Falls address. And they are, for lack of a better word, a resort of sorts for special needs and disadvantaged folks, and they just do all sorts of snow sports and stuff like that. And it's awesome. Actually, it goes all the way full circle. Taught teacher's assistant special needs at the high school.
Oh, is that right?
That's Mr. Armstrong.
Okay.
His wife runs that. Runs Challenge Mountain.
Right.
So hopefully we get some good donations. In the past, we've done Brave Hearts Estates, which is soldiers that or veterans that had PTSD or disabled, and they take them hunting and do all sorts of activities. So we've done that before. We bought an AED for Gaylord State Police. I think that was last year or the year before. So yeah, we're always trying to give back in some way,
No, that's great.
which is pretty neat.
I saw a meme on the internet the other day that said CrossFit is one of the cool things about CrossFit is they take every holiday that you're supposed to relax and they build the hardest workout
It's
possible.
actually true.
The 12 days of Christmas, Murph.
Yep.
It seems like, I don't know if there's a specific workout before Thanksgiving, but I know there's usually a hard one.
Yeah, we usually do like
earn
a
that turkey.
version of the 333. We call it turkey trot.
So every holiday, everybody else is relaxing and CrossFitters are doing the hardest workouts you can think
Yeah,
of.
CrossFitters, they've geared themselves in a way that they like to earn their big meals.
That's right.
So
Earn that cheat day.
Yeah, exactly right. So they feel it necessary. If they're going to take a day off the next day, they're going to crush it, which I'm all about it. It's
I'm with
great.
you.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to learn more about the Know Me Fitness Festival or follow you, what's the best way? If somebody wants to, they listen to this, say, Kenny, I want to keep an eye on what you're doing. What's the, is it Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, our Instagram for Know Me Fitness Festival is definitely the best place to find everything. And we have a link tree there that kind of takes people every direction. So yeah, it's Instagram.com/Know Me Fitness Festival, NOMI Fitness Festival.
What's funny is our podcast is the Know Me Truth. So
beautiful.
That's the same thing.
Is that what it is?
No, that's just we out here. That's a whole different funny story. If somebody's moving to the area, and we get a lot of this, a lot of people move here and they plug in to the CrossFit community. So if somebody is moving here and they want to, plug into a gym because they want to be and we find a lot of people that move to Northern Michigan, they move here because they want to be fit, because this is a great area to be active. If they want to check you out, what's the best way to do it? Is it to stop in? Is it to give you a call?
Man, we always have an open door. It's amazing. Every single time I have a new person, I ask them how they heard about CrossFit Petoskey, and every single one says they just drove by.
Right.
So they'll see us working out. We have an open door policy. Just come on in, talk to a coach. But CrossFitPetoskey.com is probably the best way to at least start your training, because we get people in the door a multitude of ways,
Sure.
Whether you have experience or don't. Either we do one-on-ones and people schedule them based on their needs, or we actually even have beginners courses. So CrossFitPetoskey.com is probably the best way.
And how many different classes per day are there? There's 6, 5?
Man, we are like pushing 8 or 9.
Oh, per day.
Yep,
Oh, I
per
didn't know
day,
that.
which
Wow.
that is one of
So
my
there's a
personal,
time that's going to work for you. If you're coming
yes.
here, you're going to find a time.
Yeah, that's one of my personal bragging rights of our gym, because
Yeah.
it's really hard to have a CrossFit gym and have the staff to be able to pull
100%.
off a huge
That's a lot every day.
But yeah, here in June, truly, we're going to have 5, 6, 7:15, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, noon, open gym, and then evening classes 4:15, 5:15.
When will you get a break? Thursday and Sunday.
That's why I have Sarah.
That's right.
That's why.
Right.
Who's the best? One of our coaches. But yeah, man. That's
All
the
right.
place to go.
Well, thank you for being here.
It's great to be here. I mean, you guys have supported me and our gym tremendously, and I can't thank you enough. So
all right. You're welcome.
I
We're honored.
appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Kenny.